The soft hum of Flight 723's engines was usually a lullaby, but today it felt like a low, persistent thrum against the backdrop of mild turbulence. Outside, the vast American sky stretched endlessly, a canvas of fluffy white clouds. Yet inside, a palpable tension settled over some passengers. Anna, a flight attendant in her late 20s, moved through the aisle with the grace of a seasoned professional. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her smile, though constant, held a quiet warmth. She distributed tiny packets of pretzels and plastic cups of juice, her movements efficient, yet her eyes, sharp and perceptive, scanned each face for unspoken cues. That's when her gaze landed on Mark. He was a man in his late 40s, usually stoic, but today his face was a canvas of raw worry. A sheen of perspiration glistened on his temples despite the cabin's cool air, and his hands, usually steady, now trembled slightly as they clutched a small, worn photograph. He was trying to read a document, his brow furrowed in frustration, his vision clearly blurred. Anna, sensing a deeper distress than just turbulence, approached him gently. "Is everything all right, sir?" she asked, her voice a soothing murmur over the ambient engine noise. "You seem a little uneasy." Mark startled, his eyes clouded with anxiety meeting hers. "Oh, no, I'm fine. It's just my mother. She's very sick. I'm flying to see her, and I forgot my reading glasses. I can't make out the hospital details, her room number, even the gate information for my connecting flight. It's all a blur, and it's making everything feel so much worse." He gestured helplessly at the unreadable papers in his lap. Anna's expression softened instantly. Without a moment's hesitation, she reached into her own apron pocket. "Here," she said, her voice warm and steady. "These are mine. Please, use them." She offered him a simple pair of black-framed reading glasses. Mark's trembling fingers took them, and as he put them on, a visible wave of relief washed over his face. He could finally read, a small but profound comfort in a sea of worry. Up front, in the cockpit, Captain Richard, a veteran pilot with decades of stripes on his sleeve and countless flight hours etched into his memory, was meticulously overseeing the flight's trajectory. The cockpit door, always slightly ajar to allow for communication, offered a narrow glimpse into the cabin. Through that sliver, he'd briefly witnessed Anna's interaction with Mark. He saw the passenger's distress, Anna's swift, empathetic response, and the immediate calming effect it had. Captain Richard had seen it all during his long career. Emergencies, celebrations, farewells. But Anna's genuine, unsolicited act of kindness stood out. It was a simple gesture, yet it held an undeniable power, a quiet humanity often lost amidst the technical complexities of air travel. It made him pause, a flicker of an idea beginning to form in his mind. What if more people saw this? As Flight 723 cut through the endless blue expanse of the American sky, Anna's care for Mark extended far beyond the initial loan of her reading glasses. Every time she passed his row, she offered a quiet word, a subtle check-in. "Would you like a warm blanket, sir? It can get a little chilly back here." She brought him an extra bottle of water, noticing how he nervously chewed on his lip. She didn't pry, but listened intently when he occasionally shared small details about his mother's worsening condition. "I hope she gets well very soon," she'd said once, her voice a genuine balm to his frayed nerves. Mark, though still consumed by his anxiety, found an unexpected anchor in Anna's calm presence. "Thank you," he murmured repeatedly, each word heavy with a gratitude he couldn't fully express. "You truly have no idea how much these small things mean right now." In the cockpit, Captain Richard, while maintaining his unyielding focus on the myriad instruments and flight data, found his thoughts drifting back to Anna. He'd observed her again, subtly, through the small opening of the cockpit door and through the reflections in the mirrors. He saw her checking on Mark, saw the quiet conversations, the way her presence seemed to gently ease the man's evident distress. It wasn't just professional duty, it was a profound human connection. Richard, a man who had navigated countless storms and celebrated countless safe landings, suddenly found himself remembering a defining moment early in his own career. He was a young co-pilot on a particularly rough flight, battling an intense fear of failure. A seasoned flight engineer, noticing his silent struggle, had simply brought him a steaming cup of coffee and a steadying hand on his shoulder, saying, "You've got this, son. We're a team." That small act of recognition and support had made all the difference then. Now, watching Anna, Captain Richard felt a familiar sense of warmth. In a world increasingly driven by metrics and efficiency, the human element often got lost. Anna was a beacon of that lost humanity. As the flight began its long, gradual descent towards its destination, a clear decision solidified in Captain Richard's mind. Anna's quiet compassion deserved more than just his silent admiration. It deserved to be seen, to be celebrated. He knew precisely what he was going to do, something entirely out of protocol, but utterly necessary. The satisfying thud of the landing gear kissing the runway sent a ripple of anticipation through the cabin. Flight 723 glided smoothly towards its gate, and the familiar ding of the seatbelt sign signaled the journey's end. Passengers began to stir, stretching, gathering their belongings, a collective sigh of relief and eagerness permeating the air. Mark, his face still etched with the residue of worry, carefully folded the borrowed reading glasses. He intended to return them to Anna with a heartfelt personal thank you, a small token for a truly significant gesture. Just as the first few passengers edged into the aisle, preparing to disembark, Captain Richard's voice, clear and resonant, boomed through the intercom. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. I just have a brief and rather important announcement before you disembark. Please, if you would, remain seated for just another moment." A ripple of surprise, then a hush, fell over the cabin. Passengers froze, their hands hovering over their bags, their curiosity piqued. Such a direct post-landing address was highly unusual. During this flight, Captain Richard continued, his voice calm yet carrying an undeniable weight, I had the privilege of observing something truly remarkable unfold right here in our cabin. One of our incredible flight attendants, Anna, demonstrated extraordinary compassion towards a fellow passenger. She noticed he was struggling, offered a helping hand, and extended a genuine human presence that went above and beyond any duty. She truly exemplified what it means to care for another person. He paused, letting his words sink in, the cabin utterly silent. Acts of kindness, especially those that come from the heart, often go unseen, unthanked. But today I wanted to acknowledge Anna, to highlight her selfless act, for reminding all of us of the profound impact a little empathy can have on someone's life, especially when they are vulnerable. A collective gasp, then a wave of murmurs swept through the cabin. All eyes turned to Anna, who stood near the galley, her cheeks tinged with a flush of surprise and humility. Mark, his eyes suddenly glistening with tears, pushed himself up from his seat. He turned to face the other passengers, his voice thick with emotion, barely above a whisper. "She truly made a difference for me today," he choked out, holding up the borrowed glasses. "She saw my worry, and she helped. Thank you, Anna. From the bottom of my heart, thank you." A spontaneous round of applause erupted, followed by appreciative nods and heartfelt smiles directed at Anna. The simple act had become a public testament to human goodness. The air in the cabin crackled with a new kind of energy as Captain Richard's announcement concluded. As passengers finally began to stream out, the usual rush was replaced by a more deliberate pace. Many stopped by Anna's station, extending their hands, their voices filled with genuine appreciation. "That was truly beautiful," one woman said, tears in her eyes, squeezing Anna's arm. "You're an absolute credit to your profession," an elderly man added, his voice gravelly with emotion. Anna, still reeling from the unexpected public tribute, offered humble smiles and soft thank yous. her heart swelling with gratitude for the unexpected validation. Among the disembarking crowd was Sarah, a vibrant young woman in her 30s, her fingers usually dancing across her smartphone. A digital content creator and a frequent traveler, she had been profoundly moved by the captain's words and Mark's raw, tearful gratitude. Her phone had been recording discreetly, capturing the powerful climax of Captain Richard's announcement and Mark's emotional thank you. Later that evening, from the comfort of her apartment, Sarah uploaded the video. Her caption was simple but potent. "Witnessed something truly beautiful on my flight today. This flight attendant's genuine kindness and the pilot's incredible act of acknowledging it reminded me of the profound power of human connection. Let's make kindness go viral." The video exploded. Within mere hours, it garnered hundreds of thousands of views, then millions. Comments poured in, sharing personal stories of receiving or giving unexpected kindness. The hashtag #KindnessGoesViral began trending across social media platforms filled with heartwarming anecdotes and messages of hope. News outlets, from local TV stations to major national networks, picked up the story, highlighting Anna's quiet compassion and Captain Richard's unprecedented gesture. "Pilot's emotional tribute to flight attendants' empathy becomes overnight sensation," read one headline. Anna and Captain Richard found themselves suddenly in the national spotlight, their faces appearing on morning shows, their names synonymous with a powerful message of empathy. Anna, interviewed via video call, remained incredibly humble. "I was just doing my job," she insisted, a soft, genuine smile on her face. Anyone would want a little help, a little comfort, when they're worried about a loved one. Her authenticity only fueled the story's reach. The story of Flight 723, Anna and Captain Richard, continued to resonate, morphing into a powerful symbol of positivity in an often cynical online world. The airline, initially caught off guard by the unexpected virality, swiftly embraced the narrative, showcasing the exemplary service and genuine human connection demonstrated by their crew. Anna and Captain Richard became sought-after speakers, invited to share their experiences on talk shows and in corporate settings. Captain Richard, in particular, spoke eloquently about the importance of recognizing the quiet heroes among us, those who, through simple yet profound acts of kindness, illuminate the true spirit of humanity. "It was never about me," he'd stated in a poignant interview. "It was about shining a light on the genuine heart Anna showed. We need more of that in the world." The ripple effect extended far beyond the immediate media frenzy. The #KindnessGoesViral kindness goes viral hashtag evolved into a vibrant online community, a digital repository of heartwarming stories of everyday altruism. It sparked a tangible wave of renewed appreciation for service workers across industries and inspired countless individuals to perform new acts of generosity in their daily lives. A stranger paying for someone's coffee, a neighbor offering help with groceries, a simple, heartfelt compliment delivered to a stressed cashier. The narrative served as a potent reminder that while the world often fixates on grand gestures and dramatic events, it is the quiet, authentic moments of human connection that truly resonate and ripple outwards, changing lives one small act at a time. Meanwhile, Mark, having successfully reached his destination, found immense comfort in being by his mother's bedside. The journey, initially fraught with despair, had been transformed by an unexpected encounter with profound kindness. He often thought of Anna, her gentle voice and the borrowed reading glasses, a small but profoundly significant gesture that had eased his burden during an incredibly difficult time. He sent the airline a personal letter expressing his deepest gratitude for Anna's compassion, reinforcing the truth behind the viral sensation. Weeks later, a subtle nod to the enduring impact of their story. Anna and Captain Richard found themselves on the same crew again, on a new flight, a new destination. As passengers began to board, their eyes met across the bustling cabin. There was no need for words, just a shared, understanding smile. They both knew that in a world often consumed by the impersonal and the extraordinary, it was the authentic human connection, the small acts of kindness, that truly had the power to change hearts and, sometimes, to go beautifully, genuinely viral, leaving a lasting legacy of empathy and hope.